Welcome to another installment of Technique in 10, where we go over fundamentals, some misconceptions, and a little bit of style to make sure that you perform your best on game day. My name is Mike Niklos. I'm the Director of Athletic Development at Acceleration Sports Performance. As an athlete, I was a three-time All-American as a defensive back. Today, we're actually going to go over a little bit more on the mental side and reading what your quarterback and your tackle are going to do to help you identify the type of routes that are going to be ran by the receiver that you're guarding, as it allows us to take other environmental cues and pick what is going to help us dictate what that receiver is doing. Helps us be a little bit more aggressive and take calculated risks when we're jumping routes or making sure that we're in the area that they're actually running the route. We're going to categorize it into three different groups: our quick game, our deep ball, and our intermediate game. Those kind of give us an idea of what our drop looks like, but also the type of routes and complexity that we're going to see. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the quick game. As I've said before, I was never a backpedaler, so when I'm demonstrating these, it's going to be from a shuffle crossover perspective and not necessarily a backpedal. But again, that goes based off of your style, your strength, your technique, what that coach wants you to do. When we talk quick game, your job is to set yourself up to be able to drive up. So if I'm getting set up, I'm going to be able to still look at my receiver here from the outside of my eyes, but my eyes are really going to where that tackle and that quarterback are. First thing is going to be a run-pass read. Once I get through that decision, now it's going to be, is it a quick game, a deep ball, or an intermediate route that we're going to read? My steps, and again, I think this is very style-based. Everybody has to kind of create their own that works for them. What I did was, again, I'd be a little bit more opened up. I would set it up that when I cleared that or hit that three-step game, my back foot was already set up to go up. So I'd always sit it here. It would be a very slow movement, but I'd just be here. If I hit that, read that quick game, my eyes would snap to that receiver, and I would drive up, try to make a play on the ball. Now, once we got the technique side down, what you're going to see from the tackle and the quarterback, if I'm throwing that way in a quick game, as soon as I catch that ball, I'm getting those feet set up, that elbow's going high. That's going to be one of your reads, that as soon as you see that a high elbow, that should alert you that something quick's going to happen. From a tackle setup, you're going to get the technique or a style that you'll get as a jump step. Essentially, all they're going to do is they're going to actually take a quick step forward or horizontal to try to make quick contact with that defender, all because what they want is they want to create contact to keep those hands down to give a little bit better of a throwing lane for that quarterback to go. So if I see that, and my eyes are here, I read that three, I'm already set up to be very, very explosive on any sort of up route. My eyes snap to that receiver, and from there, I drive based on what I'm seeing. Now, if we have that internal clock, and I always think the very, very good DBs and great DBs have a very good internal clock of how long certain things are going to take. If we think of from snap to release, it's going to be about 2.5 seconds, so under 2.5 seconds that for the quick game. So it is happening very, very fast. So those decisions, like we talked about, if your first read steps aren't setting you up for success, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to drive down and make a play on that ball. The next group of routes that we're going to look at is the deep ball. So from a line perspective, what you'll end up getting is you're going to get a 45-degree set or kick step. Basically what that means is they're going to come a little bit wider and try to make contact fairly early. If we kind of think of a deep ball, that ball has to come out between 2.5 and 3.5 seconds. If they take a little too long, that receiver is going to be way down the field, and the ball is going to be underthrown. So the ball still has to come out when we're looking at your goes, your posts, your corners, more timing vertical routes, that ball has to come out a little bit quicker. So that lineman is going to set up in a way that he can make contact fairly quick, because if it takes too long, then it'll open up a little bit too many spaces, or that quarterback won't be able to get that ball off. From a quarterback perspective, we're going to get a little bit of depth, but it's going to be a hitch and throw. They're not going to take too much time, especially depending on that quarterback's arm strength. We said that's going to take about 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. From a technical standpoint, again, if me crossing over and shuffling, knowing that I see that, chances are, instead of staying in my crossover step, staying in my shuffle step, I'm going to get naturally into my crossover step. So I'm going to cue my quick game. If it's not here, instead of staying in that, I'm actually going to go more into my crossover step. So if I'm here and I see deep ball, I'm here, I snap back to that receiver, and I'm getting a little bit more depth than I naturally would. Lastly is going to be the intermediate routes. So this is going to be your complex routes, your delayed routes, your combo routes. So if you've got, a dual set or things that take a little bit longer time to develop, this is going to be the setup that you'll get, or from a line and a quarterback perspective. But these are the routes that are going to take more than time to allow that quarterback to throw the ball. So from a line perspective, you're going to get more of a vertical set, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create this pocket to make sure that the quarterback can step up on and create a little bit more time as all the routes are slowly starting to be developed. So instead of that jump set where they kind of go make contact, a 45-degree set where they're still trying to make fairly quick contact, this one they're going to sit more vertical and try to be as patient as they possibly can to widen that pocket so the quarterback can step up on. And when we talk about the quarterback stepping up, they'll take some depth, but what they'll do, instead of a hitch up to let that ball go, they'll naturally kind of slowly start stepping up in that pocket to allow all those routes to slowly start to develop. When we see that, that's when your kind of spidey sense or your alert says that there's going to be a lot of more complexity going to happen. Instead of reading that quick game and driving up, or getting, for me, in the crossover, I'm going to stay in my shuffle, knowing that that's where I'm going to get the more chaotic type route. So, even from a personal perspective, I'll get more stems, I'll get more rocker sets, I'll get more fakes. So it tells me to be a little bit more patient on the play, because it's going to take a little bit more time. So I'm not going to be as aggressive on any of the fakes that they give. So if we talked about my quick game here, the deep ball here, if I'm getting an intermediate, I'm just staying right here and I'm reading. Your job as a defensive back was to stop the short game and stop the deep ball. If you can do those two things, your line is going to be able to take care of the intermediate routes. It allows us to kind of reframe what our thought is. Again, at the end of the day, we talk about our receivers on scholarship too, so we can't stop all 10 spaces every single time. So if I go into a play and I say, I'm going to stop that quick game and I'm going to stop that deep ball, and my job for those intermediate complex routes is just be around that receiver. If any slight mistake happens, those tend to be harder throws. They take more time. Your defensive line has the ability to get and rush that quarterback, so pressure him. If that ball is erratic at all, your job is to be around it. And I think that, for me, allowed me to take more chances on the up routes, make sure I never got beat deep, but I was always around those intermediate routes that if the ball wasn't perfect, I had a really good chance to make a play on that ball. Lastly, just from a mathematical standpoint, and that's, for me, I'm a very big mathematical kind of guy. So if we go back to those three different types of drops, you've got your 10 spaces. Your down distance, formation, and even where they're at on your divider rules is probably going to narrow down 2 or 3 routes that they're not going to run, right? If this is the sideline right here and they line up inside that numbers or closer to the sideline, chances are they're not going to run it out. So you can already check that off the list. So pre-snap, we should be able to pull down a couple of those routes within that first second. And that's generally how long it's going to take for you to identify, if not shorter, what type of route combos you're really going to get from that quarterback and tackle read. That's going to dictate if it's a quick game, or if it passes a quick game, you know that you can take out a slant hitch, comeback, out route, anything coming up. So now, instead of those 10 spaces, we're down to 5 spaces that they can go to. Now, if they clear the deep ball, now instead of the go post corner that they're running, now we're looking at 3 to 4 different spaces that receiver can go to. That's a much better ability to jump routes and take educated guesses based off of 3 routes than having to think that they're going to run 10 routes. So it allows you to kind of have that mental math and those check marks that as you're getting in those routes start to present themselves to exactly what they're going to do. So we talked very generally of what you're going to see. Now, all those intricacies, the different tells, the different types of schemes, that's your job to, during film the week prior, to identify exactly what a quick game, an intermediate step, a deep ball, both from the tackle and the quarterback look like, so you can make better observations and take higher educated guesses to make sure we're jumping routes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Until next time.